Also, with regards to us being Muslim, again, this is all part of our Aqeedah, but inshallah, you guys can highlight this. Inshallah, you guys can highlight this in your Qurans later on. Inshallah, memorize these verses. So when you guys are talking to the other sisters and they try to come at you with something, well, no, it says here in the Quran, well, where at? Okay, whoop. Any brothers y'all having disputes with brothers about whoop? Well, Allah says whoop. Okay? Also, with regards to us being Muslim, and being that we're Muslim, we have the truth, we have the knowledge. It's our responsibility to share it with others. If we have this knowledge and we do not share it with others, then we are derelict in our duty. We are not doing our duty to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we are being disobedient to Allah. Allah commands us as Muslims to share this with our family. What is the dalil? Who can tell me the dalil where Allah says for us to save ourselves and our family?
66:6.
Chapter 66, verse 6. Chapter 66, verse 6. It should be easy because it's like 666. But it don't mean nothing about no 666. But we say 66, verse 6. Chapter 66, verse 6. And one of y'all can look that up.
That's right.
Okay? Allah subhanahu said in chapter 66, verse 6. Oh, I gotta put it in. Allah states, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. O ye who believe. Oh, you believe. Okay? Oh, you believe. Save yourself. And he says, and save your family. Allah says, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Oh, you believe. Save yourself and your family from a fire whose fuel is men and stones. So Allah commands us to save ourselves and our family from the fire, whose fuel is men and stones, over which there are angels that are harsh and fierce and do not disobey Allah in that which He commands them to do. Okay? So the first thing is, O ye who believe. So Allah is speaking to the believers. Those who say that they Muslim, those who say that they believe in this deen, they believe in being Muslim, right? And the Prophet Muhammad said that there is no belief, and the Arabic word is iman. Iman, not iman. People get mixed up. Iman. There is no iman, belief, without actions, meaning amal. Amal. Oh, you believe. So Allah is speaking to the believers, those who have iman, those who have faith, and those who will follow this faith with some type of action. See, the believers are the ones of action. The believers, we don't just talk about it. This is not lip service. Oh, I'm Muslim, yeah, Islam, alhamdulillah, then I do what I want to do. That's lip service. Islam, we're people of action. Allah says, okay, make your salat. But we're people of action. We have to do our salat. Allah says, stay away from certain things. So therefore, we stay away from certain things. We are people of action if you're a believer. Now, if you're a hypocrite or you're a faker, then you won't be one of action. And Allah says the worst in the sight of Allah are the hypocrites, and they'll be the lowest of the hellfire. But the Muslims are those, we're the best because we enjoy the right, forbid the wrong, and we work actions. Actions. So if we strive to be believers, then we will be people of actions. We'll be people of action. So Allah says, oh, you believe. So this is speaking to the people who will work with actions, because you don't have no belief unless you have action. Oh, you believe. Save yourself. So when I save myself, this means now it is mandatory for me to study and learn. Mandatory. Right? Mandatory. I've got to do it now. It's mandatory that I learn. I got to save myself. How do I save myself? Allah said, oh, you believe? Save yourself. So how do I save myself? What, just by waking up and looking pretty every morning? Just waking up, going to the bathroom, and eating and cooking every day? That's how I save myself? How do I save myself? I got to start doing some type of actions that show Allah for the law that I'm sincere in what it is that I believe in. So therefore, in order for me to save myself, I have to learn and study my deen. I have to learn and study and have a firm understanding in my Aqeedah. I do. You do. You have a personal responsibility to have an understanding of your Aqeedah, of your deen. It's mandatory that you study. The Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him, said that it is mandatory on every Muslim to gain knowledge. Sit up. It is mandatory for every Muslim, man, woman, to gain knowledge of their religion so that they can teach it to others. So therefore, for me to save myself, I have to study and learn, which is mandatory. So coming to class, this is not it's not an option. It's something that you got to do unless you got it locked and loaded. If you were able to teach a class that I'm in love, then that means maybe you ain't got to save yourself no more because you went through the requirement of studying and attaining a proper understanding of your religion. If you don't have a firm understanding of religion, then you have to get in a class somewhere and learn your religion. Because this is mandatory, as the Prophet Muhammad said, it is mandatory to gain knowledge. Then after you learn this knowledge, then Allah says, and save your family. So now that I learned the religion, now I got to share it with my family. I got to teach my kids. Mandatory. Now it's mandatory that I teach the kids. Discipline. The kids. Right? Everybody in your family. Right? As well as those who are your immediate family, your close family, your relatives, your kin. You have the deen. You have the knowledge of this deen. You have the knowledge of this foundation. You know the do's and the don'ts in this deen. You have studied this deen. Now you have a firm understanding of this deen. Now you see that your family members are off their deen. It's your responsibility to teach them. It's your responsibility to warn them. It's your responsibility to tell them. If you don't do it, then you're not fulfilling your obligation of saving your family. This is not an option with Allah's law. This ain't a question, but if you feel like it, then go ahead and do it. Allah said this is a commandment to save yourself and save your family. So to save your family, to discipline them, to teach them, to make sure that they're doing their salat, and make sure that they understand this religion, that's mandatory on you. Mandatory. Mandatory. Each one, teach one. All you who believe. So everybody should be striving to be believers, right? Because the believers are going to be the ones that save from the hellfire. The believers are the ones who will be saved from the hellfire. So everybody striving to be a believer, they go follow this belief with some type of action. Not just talking about, well, I'm Muslim. Can't nobody tell me I'm a Muslim. I ain't got to tell you nothing. I'm watching you. I'm going to watch you. You ain't got to tell me nothing. Allah's going to say, i'malu, and work so that Allah, the Prophet, and the believers, they can see you. If you're working, the people see you. Just like the Prophet Muhammad said, if you are doing salat, then bear witness to that person's Islam. You don't see nobody making salat, you ain't Muslim. If you see somebody making salat, bear witness to their Islam. So understand this, chapter 66, verse 6. This is something that inshallah we need to highlight. We need to asterisk. We need to memorize. We need to put emphasis on. Maybe that's why they said 666. Maybe to subconsciously get us away from this number, 666. Because this is very important right here. it's mandatory that you learn this deen. If you're a Muslim, you can't walk around here, oh, I'm Muslim and don't know nothing about this deen. You don't know the Salat. You don't know about fasting. You don't know about the Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him. You don't know about the Quran. You don't know none of the stories in the Quran. You don't know none of the Sahaba's names. You don't know none of the Prophets' names. You don't know none of the stories of the Prophets. Then you're playing with your deen. You're not saving yourself. You're playing yourself. You're not saving yourself. You're playing yourself. Okay? So if you're a Muslim, you better learn this deen. Come to class, learn your deen. Get a firm understanding of Tawheed. Sit up, man. Get a firm understanding of how to make salat. Get a firm understanding of adab, proper adab, how to pay attention and listen. What did the Prophet Muhammad say about being respectful to your adults? Rasulullah said that you have not acquired proper manners or etiquette. When the children have disrespected the elders, they have lost their deen. When the children are disrespecting the elders. No, in Islam, you're supposed to respect your elders. Don't talk unless being spoken to. Period. Spare the rod, spoil the child. We get belts. There's belts in Islam. There's discipline in Islam. We ain't Christians. The Prophet Muhammad said, and I'll give you an example, a dalil from the hadith. The Prophet Muhammad said, at the age of 7, start making your children do the salat. At the age of 10, beat them, spank them if they don't do their salat. That's hadith. We ain't got to go nowhere and ask somebody, what does that mean? Or can you give me an explanation on that, brother? It says what it says, and beat them. Your kids ain't making salat, they're going to get spanked in the house. They're going to be arguing with no kid about making salat. I don't want to. No. Get up. Go wash up. And if you don't, you get in the belt. Period. Okay? So it's your responsibility, if you're a believer, to save yourself. So now I got to know how to make the salat. I got to know how to wash up. I got to know all the do's and don'ts about whatever it is. I'm not just talking about the salat, I'm talking about my whole religion. Then after I learn this, then with this acquired knowledge, I have to give it to the children. I have to give it to my family members. I have to give it to my tribe, my kin, my folks, my peeps. Right? You understand what we're doing here in Masjid Aqeedah? We're trying to do something profound here. Don't nobody care about us, so we better care about ourselves. I just said, oh, that's the black masjid. They downplay us. They don't respect us because sometimes we don't respect ourselves. You come around here with pants sagging, smelling like weed in the masjid, being like baby kids in the masjid. They come in here and come see us. Guess what they're going to say? Oh, they still haven't learned anything. Islam is supposed to bring us honor and respect. Islam brings you honor and respect. The best of you in the sight of Allah is the one who has the most taqwa. Just because we're black, it doesn't mean, or just because we're on the west side of town, or just because we have this masjid and it's not $1 million masjid, it doesn't mean that you're not favored by Allah. That which gives you favor, or that which gives you rank, is your taqwa. Who knows the story of Bilal ibn Rabah? Who knows the story of Bilal?